Gabriel Martinelli has had a very difficult 2023-2024 season so far, with only finding the back of the net 6 times in the league with just 2 more games to go. Today I will take a look at some of the reasons for his dip in form and explain some of the different theories Arsenal fans have had regarding that end, and if it's something to be worried about for the future. But before we get started, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to my channel to never miss an upload. If you watched football last season, you most likely know what kind of season 21-year-old Gabriel Martinelli had. He was in most people's Premier League team of the seasons and also equaled Roberto Firmino's record for most goals scored in a single Premier League season by a Brazilian player. He was one of the players who impressed the most in what was a very good 2022-23 season for Arsenal. In the Premier League, Gabriel Martinelli scored 15 goals and got 5 assists in the 35 games he featured in last season, which averages a goal contribution every 140 minutes. This season, Martinelli has got 6 goals and 4 assists in 33 appearances, where he averages a goal contribution every 191 minutes. However, despite there being a difference of 50 minutes of every goal contribution, his expected goals and expected assist numbers are very similar in the two seasons. In 22-23, he had an expected goal contributions of 0.59 every game, and this season the same stat is 0.56. Last season he overperformed his expected goals and expected assists by 5.7, while this season he is underperforming it by 0.5. This season Gabriel Martinelli averages 0.05 more shots per 90 compared to last season, with the figures being exactly the same when it comes for expected goals per shot, which is 0.12 per shot. When it comes to key passes, Gabriel Martinelli averaged 0.2 more passes per game that led to a shot last season compared to this season. When it comes to touches, Martinelli averages almost 55 touches per 90 this season, while he averaged just 48 last season, which sees our number 11 being more involved when it comes to touches now compared to last year. One stat that is down this season is the successful take-ons he's had per 90. Last season the Brazilian had 1.9 successful take-ons per game, while this season it's just above 1.7. It's not a massive difference, but a difference is there. The stats show that Gabriel Martinelli is much more involved in the defensive work this season compared to last season, with the Brazilian having to make more tackles across the field, with also winning more of them. From my understanding from the stats is that they are very similar numbers across the board this season compared to his 2022-23 season for Gabriel Martinelli. The only major difference is that he is slightly underperforming his expected goals and assists this season, which is something he overperformed last season. Overperforming and underperforming expected goals and assists is something that will vary from season to season, especially with the players who are not in the world-class shelf. We see it with wingers all the time, that sometimes they overperform it massively, while other seasons they underperform it. In my opinion, it is natural and is something that we will continue to see with wingers across the board in the beautiful game. Gabriel Martinelli suffered a hamstring injury early this season, which saw him miss out on 5 games. Martinelli also had a foot injury, which he suffered in March, but that has not played a part of his underperforming season, if we are being honest. So I will only focus on the hamstring injury to see if that has played a part or not. In September, Gabriel Martinelli suffered a hamstring injury at Goodison Park, which saw the Brazilian miss 5 full games of football. Could the hamstring injury be a reason for his dip in form? Yes, I would like to think so, but I'm not a doctor, so I'm just using logic on this one. As we know, Martinelli is a player who relies on his speed and agility. In many scenarios where players get hamstring injuries, these types of players struggle for a bit. My guess in this scenario is that we haven't really got Martinelli back up to 100 sharpness due to wanting to have him available. Could I overthink this? Absolutely, but I do think there is something in this with the other reasons I'm going on in this video as well. So I'm not just blaming the hamstring injury, but I think that can play like a few percentages in his underperforming season. However, I do think he was starting to get back to his best earlier this year, where he got 6 goal contributions in 7 league games until he suffered the foot injury. And when he was out injured, Leandro Trossard took his chances and continued to do so since Martinelli got back fit as well. So for Martinelli's sake, he's got a bit unlucky that Trossard has found his best form since he joined the club in January 2023, but for Arsenal's sake, it's of course perfect, as we want as much competition for the places as possible. I'm not really deep into tactics like the tacticos you see on Twitter, but I do feel like we have switched up our tactics a little bit. As the stats showed previously, Martinelli is more involved in the defensive work when he has played this season, although the stats are pretty similar when I compared his 22-23 season with his 23-24 season. From the eye test, I do feel like he is left a bit alone on the left sometimes, but if I remember correctly, that was also the case sometimes last season as well. Although I think it happens more often when Zinchenko isn't playing, which is something that has happened much more this season due to injury and Kiwior and Tomiyasu having great form. So we can maybe say Martinelli has struggled to adapt to the new tactics when Zinchenko isn't playing, but I do not think that is a huge issue. I just think it's a coincidence of many small things. And we can't really say there is something wrong with the tactics or gameplay either, as our left winger, which has been Trossard for a lot of this season, has been loving life on the left. That is both when he has started and coming on as a super sub from the bench. The biggest issue I think is to blame for Martinelli's form dip is his lack of confidence. When we look back at the expected goals and assist figures, it is easy to understand a player's frustration from feeling like everything you hit will fly into the net to feel like nothing will do so. I do think when he gets a reset in the summer and can come back fresh to preseason, we will see the best of Gabriel Martinelli again. In my opinion, he just needs a little reset and some rest, and when he gets his first goal next season, he will be back flying like he was last season. And then probably the most stupid reasoning I've seen Arsenal fans have is to blame Kai Havertz for Martinelli's dip in form. Yes, a lot of Arsenal fans actually blamed poor Kai Havertz for Martinelli to have an underperforming season. That is of course from the time we used Havertz in the midfield and not up top as our number 9. I will not go into detail on this one, other than that I think it's absolutely ridiculous that Havertz got a lot of stake for Martinelli having an off season. Could it have played some part? Yes, of course, it always can play a part when we switch personnel, but I do not think Havertz is the main reason at all for Martinelli's dip in form. I just think it's a coincidence. One thing that is easy to forget about Gabriel Martinelli is his age, as he has been part of the first team for what will be 5 years this summer. Martinelli is still only just 22 years old, and it's very normal for young wingers to have inconsistent seasons early on. If you take a look at other world-class wingers like Salah and Son, I'm sure they weren't all that when they were 22. And if we take a look at the young-ish wingers this season, we've seen Leao, Kvaratskhelia and Dembele all having poor seasons compared to the previous season. We can also add Leroy Sané to that, as he had scored like 1 goal since October, I think it is. For me, it shows that it's just normal to have off-season, and it's not just a problem we have with our number 11. Despite Gabriel Martinelli having an underwhelming and poor season, especially if we compare it to the previous season, I do think there are some positives as well. He has had big moments this season, including the late winner against Manchester City at Emirates and that important goal against Liverpool. Despite looking less sharp than what we've maybe been used to, he still finds the space behind the defenders, something he also did against Bournemouth as well, where he unfortunately missed the one-on-one against the goalkeeper. I do absolutely think there is nothing for us Arsenal fans to worry about. Like I've gone through this video, I think it's just a solid mix of a lot of different factors for Gabriel Martinelli's dip in form, including a little switch in tactics, his hamstring injury, which he suffered early this season, lack of confidence, and just underperforming the expected goals and assists compared to overperforming it last season. It's normal that players early in their careers have off-season and lack of confidence. I think we will see the Martinelli we all love and know in the near future. Why do you think Gabriel Martinelli has had an underwhelming season? Leave the comment down below and let me know the reasons you think, and also remember to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more content on this channel.